Check, check, check. Stream info. So, lagyan ko muna ng title. Alright, and let's go. Okay. Alright. Hi guys, good day. Frater Joseph here from the Corporate Mystic. Welcome. So, saan yun? Streaming is on. Alright. Hello, mic check. Okay. The Corporate Mystic. Right, send ko muna ang link sa mga kaibigan ko para mas maging exciting at interactive ang conversation natin tonight. So, happy Halloween pala sa lahat. Kumusta? May biko ba dyan? Alright. Medyo mabagal yung internet ngayon. Maybe dahil sa bagyo. Anyway, yeah. I'll send the link muna to others para mas marami maka-join. Alright, welcome sa lahat. Welcome. Medyo mabagal talaga yung internet. Alright, hi Father James. Good evening. Musta, musta? Malabi bang biko dyan? Pahinging biko? Alright. LJ Garcia, good evening. Good evening din sa'yo, LJ Garciano. The Mystical Jester, Carioca lang at Buchi. Uy, masarap din yun. Sana all may Buchi. You got it. Kemo Zelion, happy Halloween, frater. Namaste. Yeah, we're just waiting for others para mas, maganda kwentuhan ngayon. Alright, so kumusta po bang Halloween natin? LJ, tapos Kemo Zelion, may biko ba? Sarap ang biko dyan. Kasi every time Halloween kasi dito sa amin, yung lola ko tsaka yung nanay ko, nagluluto talaga yun ng biko. Ngayon naman, yung asawa ko hindi siya nakapagluto ngayon. But good thing, yung kapitbahay, binigyan kami ng biko. So, na-feel ko pa din yung Halloween. Guy on Fire and on Ice. Alam ko kung sino to. Anthony? Anthony Tan. LJ Garcia. YB Kodre, dalo ang silingan. May kinakatulon sila. Alright. Okay, so yeah, for tonight, start na siguro tayo. Medyo madami-dami na din. Very quick, very quick. I'll just get something. Alright. Hi guys. Hello there, fratters and sorors. Good day. So, yeah. So, as promised for tonight, no, we will be talking about ghosts, demonic possessions, and how do we view that? How do um, how do a non-dualistic, uh, Kabbalistic slash Christian slash Gnostic, perspective see things like this, or how do a non-dualist in general, no, sees these things. Now, there's a very interesting book written by Bishop Louis Kaiser. It's called the Pneumaticon. Bishop Louis Kaiser, kasi he's a Bible scholar, and being a Bible scholar, he is not in a way inclined to be biased in any religious traditions. So what he did, he was able to actually collect the original, or let's say not really original. I think the word is the more authentic teachings of Mar Yeshua, or our Lord and Master Jesus. Now, in his efforts to collect the authentic sayings of Mar Yeshua, he also was able to decipher the mystical inclination, or the spiritual inclination of our Lord and Master Jesus, or Yeshua. And he found out that the approach of Mar Yeshua is very non-dualistic, as opposed to the Gnostics' point of view in the second, third century. So, in this light, no, we are starting to see that Mar Yeshua, or Jesus, is non-dualistic, and his views about non-duality is very similar to Advaita Vedanta in India. Advaita means non-dual. So Jesus is a non-dualist, and we can see that heavily on his sayings that were collected on the Gospel of Thomas. Now, the Gospel of Thomas, based on carbon dating and also basing on the style of writing and the language used, the Gospel of Thomas is much more earlier, written like a generation or two before the four Gospels. So, mas authentic yung Gospel of Thomas. So, with that being said, cross-checking the teachings of Jesus that are found in the four Gospels, we now have an understanding that Jesus was a non-dualist, and the non-duality of Jesus actually came from the stream of teachings that were uh, popularized in his time by the Kabbalists, or the Essenes. So, para makasabay yung iba, no, the Essene is like a brotherhood, or a sect, perhaps a subgroup in ancient Judaism. Kasi when we read the Bible, no, it seems that parang pinapakita kasi ng mga pari at mga pastor natin na Judaism is like a one religion, one unified religion, where in fact it is not a unified religion. During the time of Jesus, there are so many factions, right? In the north, we have Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, they go to the temple, they worship the temple, they worship in the temple. We see there the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and other, let's say, much more structured religious people. While in the south, in Judea, where Jesus was born, the mystics there are quite radical. They don't even subscribe to worshiping inside the temple, just like Jesus. No, when they have gathering, they don't go to the temple, they go to the houses and they do the breaking of the bread. And aside from that, um, other groups also have a different practice, like the Essene, like John the Baptist. If you can see, John the Baptist is different from the Sadducees or the Pharisees, where the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they wear, let's say, expensive clothes, while John the Baptist lives like, most likely, like a monk. Right? So Jesus was actually not your typical average Jew, because Jesus was actually following a more esoteric um, line of spirituality. And we can safely, quote unquote, we can safely assume that he was following what we call Kabbalah, because his teachings, reading the Gospel of Thomas and also the teachings that are in the four Gospels, is very, very Kabbalistic. If we translate it back to the ancient Hebrew or Aramaic language. So, with that being said, our approach now, or our method in trying to interpret demonic possessions or ghosts, is based on the Kabbalistic, non dualistic perspective. All right. So, first, let's start with ghosts and other apparitions. So, sino ba dito sa inyo? Kemo Zalion, LJ, James, James Legaspi, and Anthony Tan, April Lava. Oh, April Lava, hello, namaste, good evening. Alright, so guys, sino ba sa inyo ngayon dito has an experience when it comes to, let's say, seeing ghosts? Or let's say, having a negative feeling or emotion about a specific place na pinuntahan nyo. So, anyone who wants to share, perhaps? Naririnig nyo ba ako? Kasi I'm actually looking at my screen. It's like parang choppy yung line because of the internet. Just please let me know, right? Let me know if it's something na audible. Kung audible pa ba yung boses ko, nakikita niyo pa ba ako? Alright? Let me know. Okay? Alright. The mystical jester. Ako many times, lalo na sa mga hospitals. Okay? Yep. Sino pa? Sino pang may experience when it comes to, let's say, seeing ghosts, or perhaps feeling heavy, or anything negative on a specific place? Kasi ghosts, apparitions, demonic possessions, magkaiba kasi yan. So, for the untrained eye, if for example, if you have heightened senses, if your third eye is activated already, depende kasi yan sa level. Maybe you can see, maybe you can feel, maybe you can perhaps smell something, but it's not it's not always na yung nakikita mo are ghosts. Yung nakikita mo are demons. Right? So it's different. So we will be dissecting that this evening, because there has been so many misconceptions, especially when it comes to the Christian religion. Marami tayong misconceptions when it comes to ghosts, demons, and apparitions. Alright? So we'll discuss it slowly, one by one tonight. Okay? Ape na toddler crawling pero no access sa place na yon. Okay? Okay. All right, thank you guys for sharing your experiences. Now, um, in the uh, early 1930s, I think, there was this famous psychic. I forgot the name. It was a lady. Um, this lady is a psychic, right? She's a psychic and she has heightened senses. Now, when she went to a hotel or motel, basta, ano, umupa siya ng kwarto. When she went there, she felt, or yeah, she felt something strange in the room at first, and then she saw a man on the window, troubled, and then the man opened the window, and then the man jumped over the window. Helena Blavatsky, hindi si Helena Blavatsky. And then, after like around a minute, nakita niya ulit yung lalaki, nandun sa bintana, binuksan yung bintana, tumalon ulit sa bintana. Tapos, after like a minute, nag-appear na naman ulit yung lalaki na balisa, binuksan yung bintana, tumalon. So, it was like a repeated, parang siyang, alam mo yung sirang plaka? Alam mo yung sirang CD? Parang paulit-ulit siya. So, what happened is that she went out to the room, yung babae, yung psychic. She insisted na, what's the history of this room? Sinong umupa dito before me? And she found out that a few days ago, before she rented the room, or before, she rented the room for sleeping for the night, may lalaki na nagpakamatay doon. Alright? So, what was it that she was seeing? Is it a ghost? Or is it an energy imprint left by that person who committed suicide? Who wants to guess? The mystical jester. What's your opinion on this, Brother James? April Lava, what's your opinion on this? And also James, Anthony Tan, LJ Garciano, Kem Muzelion. Yeah, imprints. Sino pa? Who wants to, give their answer? And, explain a bit, why do you think it is it? Alright? Bakit mo nasabi, James, na imprints yun? April Lava imprints. Alright, so yeah, it's you're actually correct, no, guys. Those were actually imprints. Seldom kasi, seldom, or it's not, and you save something on it. Hello, I think I'm lost. Bumalik na. Okay. Alright, kita niyo yung CD. Alright, CD. When you put data on it, right, you can put music or movie or any information inside the CD. It could be, your record, right? So, it works that way. Kasi in the absolute reality, there is only one, diba? We always say we are one, namaste, everything is Brahma, or everything is Shiva, whatever is your vision or idea of whatever, even if your third eye is not yet open or awakened, you will still feel different if you are in that specific place, because your energy is affected by the energy that is being left by that specific, let's say, person or event that happened. Kasi ang nangyayari kasi, because there is a great emotion, right, energy in motion, when the person is trying to do something. So, for example, in that specific in that specific scenario, di ba, may nagpakamatay doon. So before siya nagpakamatay, his energy was so intense that it was recorded in the place, right? And so he when he committed suicide, even if he is already dead, that energy imprint is still there, and it's repeating like over and over again. It's like a glitch, right? And so in these cases, um, dito na pumapasok yung mga religious ministers trying to, let's say, consecrate or bless the place, right? So that these imprints will be, let's say, eliminated. Now, the thing with that is, when you eliminate this, it will only make sense, or you can only override the data that is being recorded on that specific place if first, the person doing it is in a way aligned to the, let's say, specific event na nangyari. For example, if ganito if a Christian, let's say, for example, if a Christian was murdered in that place, and a Hindu priest tries to, let's say, remove the energy imprints of that specific Christian that was killed or died on that specific place. Now it depends now on the ability of the let's say the Hindu priest or the Buddhist priest that tries to consecrate the area, because in doing so, first you need to delete it, or you need to override the data that is there. All right? So case to case basis kasi yan, kasi minsan if there is a religious activity that is connected to the specific event, sometimes hindi nagmamatch yung energy ng person na nagko-consecrate ng place na yon. For example, if there was this chapel, right, and someone died inside the chapel, so perhaps the chapel is very Christian, right? So you can't just call any Buddhist monk or any Hindu. You need to call a priest, right? To be able to really effectively remove the energy imprints and put a different energy on it, like put a different data on it. Now, this idea of energy imprints is very very important. It's because ganito yung nangyayari kasi inside, for example, inside a church or inside a temple, inside a monastery. If you guys are same din yan, trying to reconnect, same din yan when you are using prayer beads or rosaries or anything that you use in praying. We often see that in movies na if there is a person that is possessed by a demonic entity, tapos someone hands that person na napossess, someone hands him or her a rosary, yung demonic entities parang sinisira lang nila easily yung rosaries, right? The explanation, that's actually true, no? They can just easily destroy any holy object, supposedly holy object. It's because that object is not consecrated. Alright? So, meaning, siguro yung rosary na binigay niya dun sa person na, let's say, na-possess, is or has not been used. Kahit pa na-bless na yan ng holy water, if the rosary was not used ever for praying, then that will not possess the energy that is needed for consecration. So the rosary is just a simple what? A simple string with beads. So it doesn't have any effect on the person that was being possessed. But if someone has a rosary, and that rosary is being used every day for praying, then if you give that specific rosary to the person who is being possessed, then there is let's say an effect. All right, there is an observable effect to that person. Okay. So, ayos ba? Naintindihan ba yung Naintindihan ba yung energy imprints? Right? So, to observe, and we need to check really the place kung is it do we feel something heavy about the place, because from time to time it will disturb our sense of well-being. So yeah, if you have the ability to banish these imprints and create a new imprint, then very good. If you can't do that, then maybe you need to have maybe you need a help from someone, perhaps a priest, a minister, depending on your religious tradition, for these entities, or for these energy imprints to be removed from your household and replace it with a different set of data or energy. Okay. The mystical gesture, yes, kumbaga dapat may energy din yung object na gagamitin, parang to remove certain energies, one must have another energy to counter that energy. Yes, perhaps yes. That's it. But aside from the the thing that we do override, we need to override the data of the energy imprints within a specific place. Now we'll go to the next topic, right? If you don't have any questions in this topic, we'll go to the next topic, right? So now the next topic is this what we call demonic possessions. All right. So um, there are actually two or three, uh, yeah, let's just say three types of demonic possessions. um, in general we call it demonic possessions, but in reality it is not an external entity that tries to dominate. So in the relative reality, right here, right now, we think of ourselves as something different, right? In this matrix of creation, no, we call this the matrix because it's energy intertwined, and then it gave form to different beings. So in the absolute reality, there is no external entity. There's no evil being outside us trying to subdue us. However, these entities are actually existing in our consciousness. These beings are existing in the mental plane. It exists within us, and these entities do have specific personalities. So explain ko. We have our own personality, right? Paano ba? Okay, in Kabbalah kasi, in Jewish Kabbalah, we actually have 7 different bodies, right? So the physical body, this is called the basar, the physical, the flesh. Now, the next body, we have our first soul. This contains the soul personality, and this is called nefesh. All right, And there's a higher soul than nefesh. It's called ruach. It's called ruach. The ruach actually serves as a bridge of the nefesh to the neshama. So the neshama, we call this the godly soul. All right, so this is much more higher, and so on. So these seven souls, or these seven bodies rather, these are linked together by a specific ray of light. So if you are a person who is, let's say, you are still not self-realized, we put it that way. When you die, the nefesh will dissolve. However, the nefesh will have consciousness after you die, but it will only last for 40 days and 40 nights maximum. That's why we Catholics, we have, we believe in 40 days. We believe that when a person dies, we pray for their souls for 40 days and 40 nights para yung soul matulungan natin na mapunta ng langit. There is a truth behind it because ancient mystics, especially the Christians, they still are able to see the presence of their loved ones up to 40 days. And even in the Bible, it was stated there that Jesus was able to appear to specific people for 40 days. And 40 days enlightenment, 40 days flood, and so on. But yeah, there is a significance. But 40 days is the maximum. However, the nefesh dissolves. Right? Now, when the nefesh dissolves, what is left is the neshama. Now, the nefesh, when this disintegrates, pag nawala na yung memories mo in this lifetime, it will disintegrate, and then the neshama will incarnation. All right? For your next life, you will have a new soul personality. However, though you have forgotten what has happened to you in your previous life, all the karma, the abilities that you have gained, the good karma, the negative karma, and all those stuff, the merits and the demerits you got from your past life will be embedded in your new soul personality. Gets? So when you get reincarnated, so parang fresh start siya. Right? Nakuha ba? However, when you get reincarnated, you will have sub-personalities. And sometimes there are some personalities that you have from your previous lifetime that was not, let's say, totally eradicated. So meaning, in your nefesh, there lies an independent personality that came from your past life. Perhaps it was not, it's still you, but it's a different version of you, right? And so, this phenomena kasi, this exists. And yung diagnosis ng mga doctors nito, ito yung sinasabi nilang multi-personality disorder. So, and most of you within you has its own comprehension. Mystical gesture. So therefore, past life memories are nasa nefesh. Past life memory, not the memory that we can remember things. No, what is in the nefesh is your karma. That is memories from your past life. But there is a specific sub-personality that sometimes nagiging buhay siya dun sa nefesh mo. It's just a part of your nefesh, but it starts to materialize dun sa nefesh. parang hindi siya nagsisink in. Supposedly, okay, ganito. I am Joseph. This is my ego, right? I have my nefesh. However, I have my sub-personalities. One of my sub-personalities, I am a priest, right? At the same time, I'm also practicing martial arts. I'm a martial artist. I'm also a father and a husband. So, eto, for example, eto. Um, my for those who for those people who knew me as a father, like literally a father, they don't know much about my other sub personalities and so on. So also in our nefesh, there are several layers of, let's say, sub personalities then, and these are all integrated so that our body, the hardware, will function well. And this nefesh is actually the software. Right? Now, eto kasing sinasabi nating demonic possession, this happens when this sub-personality from our past life is not, properly integrated into the nefesh. So what happens is that parang nagiging independent thinking being siya na nasa loob mo. And this can actually be treated, no? Kasi, for example, sa movie na the Exorcist, or let's say all different, let's say, encounters, most of the time kasi yung cases kasi na ganito is ito yung tinatawag nila na multi-personality disorder. Alright? So, if it's multi-personality disorder, that's how science diagnoses it. But we know that, it is like the software. No? Parang yung software, parang nagkaroon siya ng glitch, tapos gumawa siya ng kanyang person, will help improve the condition of the person until such time that this independent personality, sub-personality na nasa loob ng person, this assimilates again back to the person. And then the person becomes whole. Hindi na siya nagkakaroon ng parang there's another voice in my head telling me to do this and that. Alright, so medical help talaga. However, the medical help that is needed needs to be, let's say, or the person who will treat, quote unquote, this the person who has this case should have at least knowledge when it comes to mysticism and perhaps esoteric stuff like this. Mas maganda talaga kung inclined siya sa studies and teachings ni Carl Jung. Alright? So naintindihan ba yung kasi yung The Exorcist, di ba kinaso yun? I think was the priest put into jail after that, pero namatay yung pare, di ba? So yun. And then the doctors, the psychologists, they were really saying na talagang may problema sa it's a medical condition that needs to be what happens is that when it is not treated kasi, and then you go to a priest or a pastor or whatnot, it may worsen the situation talaga. So ngayon, may mga nagsasabi, Father, paano mo ma-explain yung immense strength na nagiging parang nag-iiba yung lakas ng taong napoposes. Minsan nga meron pang mga bagay na parang lumilipad, di ba? Telekinetic abilities, and sometimes the person can even speak a different language while being possessed. So how is that possible? Well, dito napapasok yung mysticism because of this glitch, no, sa nefesh. Because of this glitch, he was able to know that in his previous lifetime. All right, he could be a French in his previous lifetime, perhaps a German, a Russian, no. Also, these events such as telekinetic abilities, this is actually inert. Normal yan sa tao. It's just that right now, our current understanding about these things is not that let's say advanced or intense. That is why at normal occasions we cannot do that. However, for these people na let's say nagkaroon ng glitch yung nefesh nila, they have this other personality, and it so happened that this other personality has access, no, has access to these different dimensions of our mind that we are able to lift things up through the power of the mind, or also the immense strength na pinapakita ng mga taong napoposes. This is because of adrenaline, right? Adrenaline rush. Because of, even though their body is very small. And, di ba, pag may sunog, ang liit. Pero nung nagkasunog, nabuhat niya yung refrigerator. So that's because of adrenaline. And, that can be accessed. All of these things can be accessed by a human being through his mind. So, ganun siya ka-powerful. So, it's not because the demon was powerful, but you yourself, you are actually powerful because that demon, quote-unquote, is actually a sub-personality of you. Alright? And maybe this has been fed by negativity. This has been fed by, specific negative attributes that this sub-persona, because explain ko yan, brother. Eto, i-explain ko itong second entity. This is what we call obsession. Alright? Ito kasi yung ito yung title na nilagay ni Bishop Kaiser sa libro niya, obsession. But this totally makes sense. What is this obsession? Di ba, we have our conscious mind and we have our subconscious mind, and we have a collective subconscious, right? Have you observed that in ancient times, the concept of God is just one, right? Diba? Yun parati sinasabi natin, God is one, everything is one, blah, blah, blah. And in mythologies, the God gave birth to another God. And when that different God was being born, that's the time wherein the race of the gods has started, right? And there are some gods that are good, some gods are not really bad, but they have their own agendas as well. But in general, there are no evil gods, right? Even Hades is not evil. He's just the keeper of the underworld, right? When Christianity came, the Christian religion demonized all the gods and goddesses from different religious traditions. So even the word demon actually came from the word daimon, which means lower god or sub-deities. So meaning the demons and the angels that we are speaking of actually exists in the matrix of reality, but they do not exist outside of us, but within us, right? Because in the absolute reality, there is only one. We are connected, but in the relative reality, right now, in the experiential reality, it is our mind that gives form to these entities. It is our very own conscious mind that gives form, or not just our conscious, but even our subconscious mind. We give form to these entities. We give, let's say, based on our depictions of them, then we give their name. And because of that, they become a reality in our mind. And these sub-personas, if, for example, you are being possessed by this demon, paano nagsisimula ang demonic possession? May external demon ba na sumasapi sa'yo? Actually, what is happening is this. It is, para siyang ganito, para siyang subliminal messaging. Right? These demons are created in our minds due to subliminal messaging. For example, hindi mo to sinasadya ha. So for example, you had a traumatic experience when you were still young. Maybe your parents died. Maybe a close friend has died. So first trigger yon. So even if you have forgotten about the scenario or the event, but it may what? Be implanted in your subconscious mind. Because sa subconscious mind kasi, mahirap maglagay ng information sa subconscious mind. But if you are, let's say, sleepy, if you are in the verge of, let's say, an intense emotion, the information can go directly to your subconscious mind from your conscious mind. So, for example, extreme pain of loss. The emotion, the negativity will go inside your subconscious mind. Watching violent movies. Alright? If you are watching violent movies, if you are watching it, but in, let's say, sa araw, less yung pagpasok ng negative information dun sa subconscious mo. However, when that specific movie has specific music na talagang yung bang nayayanig ka sa takot, tapos screams, tapos visual effects pa, so parang na-heighten yung emotion mo. So your conscious filters, we call that conscious filters, will be broken down, tapos the images, the emotion will go directly to your subconscious mind, right? Especially, mas malakas ang impact niyan if you watch horror movies when you wake up early in the morning, like 30 minutes to 1 hour, or 30 minutes to 1 hour before you sleep at night. Ano pa? Let's say, negative shows, no? Parati ka nanonood ng mga balita na puro negative. Isa din yon. Ano pa? Pornography. Alright? Pornography. Isa din yon. Because heightened emotions, ganun din. When you are so intense, so, the visuals goes directly to your subconscious mind. First thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, yun. Kaya, di ba, Frater James, that's why we do our spiritual practices early in the morning, middle of the day, and before we sleep at night, so that it will be what? Positive messages lahat pumapasok sa umaga, tanghali, at gabi. That's what we are actually trying to practice now in the order. But for those who are not part of our spiritual order, so yun yung mga dapat nating bantayan, right? We need to really examine our mind, because sabi nga ni Socrates, an unexamined life is a life not worth living. So what happens when these informations are being stored in our subconscious mind? It creates a ripple in the matrix, of reality, and then that's where a demon is born. Let's just put it that way. Figuratively, metaphorically, a demon is born, and then that demon will creep into you, and it will have a different personality, right? It will have a different personality, at ngayon that specific demon is within you na. It is within your existence na ngayon. So, That's why people would say yung malapit sa magpo-possess, "Ah, I can see them, I can see him now." But the demon has not yet totally override the person's body, right? So the question is, katang isip lang ba tong mga mga demons na to? Actually, no, hindi siya katang isip because it was generated through your mind. However, it is a reality for you. Hindi siya hindi siya yung tipong hallucinations lang ito. Hindi. It is really existing within you. It is really alive within you. And it also has a part of your personality. So, ngayon, why are these sub-personas considered or self-proclaiming as they were Satan, Lucifer, or so many names? It's because that's how we associate them to these entities. So, for example, um, let's say I am really let's say I am really let's say a sex addict, a porn addict. So let's say, for example, after so many years, maybe I have a negative experience when it comes to, let's say sex when I was younger. Perhaps, no, let's just, for example, I was raped, something like that. So this created now uh, uh, a demon within me. Now, this specific demon that is created because of this, you know, collective negative imagery, it becomes alive. So, because this demon was created out of, let's say, traumas, sex traumas, so now it may appear in my mind as perhaps a succubus or an incubus. Now, this demon will appear to me as this way. Okay? That's why these sub-personas will consider or self-proclaim as they are Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, or anyone that you can, think of, as long as that specific entity is in your consciousness. All right? So, yun. So, how to get rid of these demons? Ito pahabol ko lang. Even, listening to your headphones. Listening to your headphones, especially on the left side. If you listen to, let's say, violent music, or not just violent music, but maybe sad music before you go to sleep. So, di ba, before we go to sleep, our conscious filters are slowly fading away. So, every information, every word that goes inside our ears, it will go directly to our subconscious mind, and therefore this will create the obsession. This will create now the demon that is lingering within us. Okay, so yun. And Descartes present. Hi Descartes. Namaste. Mafsa Marcelino. Good evening, frater. Good evening, Soror. How are you guys? Right. So yeah, do you have any questions so far about these things? Okay. Now, so because this has created a different sub-personality now within you, and this has become a demon within you, it is hard to get rid of it. However, you can get rid of it. However, in the sabi nga ni Albert Einstein, di ba? You cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created them. So, this is the time wherein you need help from a third party person. Let's say, for example, this is the time where you need help from a priest, from a pastor, or from an exorcist, right? Because you need to exorcise that demon within you. So, for example, if your computer has a virus, you need to hire a technician to remove the virus from the computer. And the technician will install what? Antivirus, right? However, it is the owner of the computer's responsibility to take care of the his or her computer moving forward. So meaning, parati niyang i-update yung software niya na antivirus. At the same time, the person will refrain from browsing websites that might have viruses, right? So what I'm trying to say is that um, this is the time wherein the person needs help from someone who is really um, for someone who has access the divine light that is within him or her. Okay? So, ganito kasi yan. We can see no on TV, Hollywood sensationalized this. Yung mga pare, Latin prayers, tapos holy water. In nomine Patri et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. So, it feels like parang ang ganda niyang panoorin. Tapos yung mga scenes talagang napaka-intense, no? But that's Hollywood. But in reality, it's not like that. Most of the time pa nga, it's a psychological disorder yung talagang nangyayari sa person. But if it's an obsession that was created because of these negative things that the person keeps on feeding his or her mind, so because that is a living entity within the person, the exorcist, the priest or the pastor first needs to be someone who is character-wise, the person should be upright, and the person should have commune with the divine light that is within him or her. So, when that person kasi has access, the divine light within him or her, that light will dispel all the darkness. So, that person will have the ability to eliminate that demon within him or her. When you say eliminate, you destroy the consciousness of that demon. And once that the consciousness of that demon within that person is disintegrated, all his or her parts of that demon will just assimilate back to the body of the person, because it is part of his nephesh, it is part of his consciousness. It just took form, took shape because of that specific negativity that he keeps on feeding himself or herself. Alright? So, yung nangyayari kasi, there was even this head exorcist in Vatican, wherein right now he was when he gets old, when he got older, siya yung napossess nung evil spirit, quote unquote, nung demon. And right now he's not doing any exorcisms anymore. It's because churches right now relied on what? Structured prayers. They relied on the 1,000-year-old prayer chants that they have used before. Actually, umi-epekto naman yun. However, it really depends on the user, because the person needs to be that someone who has a very strong in faith and has a direct connection with the light that is within him or her. Now, if the person doing that also has specific obsessions that he was not able to reconcile with himself, then most likely, there's a tendency or a possibility that the demon within the exorcist will be triggered, and then the exorcist will be possessed by his own demon. That's why it's not something that anyone could just simply do, right? It needs to be, it needs to have, let's say, a refinement of your character. You need to be spiritually mature, you need to be evolved spiritually in order for you to be able to properly exercise. It's not just about the prayers or the incantations or the Latin phrases that you have memorized. It's not about that. It's about you, the exorcist. So, una, the exorcist should really know what he's doing. The exorcist needs to have that connection with the divine light. The person should be self-realized. Second, the person that is being possessed, the person that is being possessed needs to willingly get rid of the demon within himself. Kasi you cannot help those people who do not want to help themselves, right? You want to pull out the demon from them, but the thing is, that person doesn't want that, di ba? So, dapat the person should want na ma-stop na to lahat. Okay? Kasi pag walang intent yung person na napopossess, then the bond between him and the demon just gets stronger, right? So dapat talagang gusto niya i-let go yung demon para the person who will do the exorcism will totally eliminate the consciousness of this demon, and then the demons, let's say, energies will just assimilate back to the person, and the person becomes whole again. Descartes, just a question. Are you saying that obsession is a state where demons become alive and born because of person's experiences? If that is so, it is already possession because demons are already within. All right, Descartes, no, the obsession part kasi, this is, I call it obsession because it is the title, no, of the book. Kasi I'm basing this on the book written by Bishop Louis Kaiser, the Pneumaticon, and nakalagay kasi doon sa chapter na yun is obsession. So sa obsession kasi, this is ito yung demonic entities that are created because of our obsession. Kasi kanina I explained that there are also demonic entities that are created because of our past life sub-personalities, na parang hindi siya totally nag-vanish, or hindi siya totally na reset. So when the person reincarnated in this lifetime, may sub-personality siya na buhay. So meaning parang isang body, dalawa yung software. Parang ganon. So, yun yung mga taong may multi-personality psychiatrist, and not by a priest or a minister. But the psychiatrist should have at least an idea or a background of mysticism, or let's say esoteric studies, especially the works of Carl Jung. Yun yung in-explain ko kanina. So, that's a different possession. Ito namang sinasabi ko ngayon, this is a different, this is a more modern let's say event, no? Kasi maraming nagiging ganito ngayon, especially mass hysteria. Even if you have if you've heard about I think that's Jonestown, where everyone committed suicide because of their pastors because of their pastors doing. It's like a mass hypnosis, parang ganon. It's because collectively the consciousness of that people are so intertwined that they have believed that everything their pastor says is the reality. So it's just like this, no? When we talk about obsession, eto kasi nagmamanifest ito because of our specific obsession to a specific emotion, music, anything, no? And then it accumulates within us. And when it accumulates within us, it creates a different personality. It is within us, but it hasn't taken over yet. So there is still a possibility that we can get rid of it. Because once these sub-personalities take over our lives, then perhaps we will go nuts, we'll really go crazy, and it will be really hard for you to snap back to your true and real self. Okay, so That's why, as early as possible, you need to get rid of this. And sometimes it's not just one session. Sometimes may mga follow-up sessions ito. And sometimes may recurrence na nangyayari. So that's why, it really needs to be done, let's say perhaps a couple of times na may follow-up, until such time na mawala na ito sa iyo. So, is that so? It is already possession because demons are already within. When I say demons are already within, the demons are actually within you, within us. Diba? You have a good side, you have a bad side, right? Yeah, you have a good side and you have a bad side. But did your bad side dominated your being, yourself right now? Hindi pa, diba? So it is within you. The potentiality of being bad is within you, but it hasn't dominated yet. For example, if you get pissed off me, you really wanted to kill me, nandiyan yan sa'yo, yung anger. You get pissed, right? However, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. So that is also in a way what's happening when your demon is there, right? Nandiyan siya. Sinasabihan ka niya, gawin mo to, gawin mo yan, gawin mo to. But you don't give in yet. You still have that, that strength of resistance. The mystical jester, dahil na din siguro sa influence ng media and entertainment, parang naging nalagay na yan sa subconscious ng lahat, na pag sinet sa possessed, nag-act as antivirus para i-reboot yung tao na yon. So, parang ganun yung nangyayari, frater, no? Parang, nag-create siya ng isang virus, and then the virus tries to rule over your entire system. Parang ganun yung nangyayari. The mystical jester. So, pag nakokontrol mo both sides, kasama sa self-mastery yon. Actually, brother, if this is a demonic entity, however, yun nga sinabi ko kanina, no? You cannot find the solution as of yet. You will not have that, ability to think straight at that specific moment because that the same mind created the problem. So, kaya dun napapasok yung mga exorcists, yung mga priests or mga pastors. Now, ito yung pinaka-importante. The demonic entity will only respond, no? The demonic entity will only respond to something that it is familiar with. For example, if that person who is possessed is a Muslim, right? And even the name of the demon, he calls himself this, a Muslim name. And you bring a Christian pastor to exorcise the demon away from that specific Muslim, it will not take effect because it is generated by the mind. So meaning it needs to have a specific trigger that it can relate to, right? Descartes. So are you saying that our bad side is the same from what we are talking about, the real devil exercised by the exorcists? So in a way, yes, but no. So are you saying that our bad side is the same as what we are talking about, the real life, about the real devil exercised by the exorcist? Okay, because right now kasi we are in the premise, balik ko lang yung pinag-usapan kanina, Descartes, no? We are in the premise that everything is one and everything is just God, no? Everything. The concept of non-duality actually came from the ancient mystics of India. Hindi pa nabubuo yung Hinduism that time. There's this set of books. It's called the Upanishads. And nakasulat doon yung the concept, or let's say the idea of Advaita Vedanta. When you say Advaita, it means
non-duality, meaning that everyone is Brahma and Brahma is everyone. Means Brahma is God, and the individual Atman is actually Brahma, and Brahman is Atman, and Jiva, the lower self, is, or the soul, is just the same with Brahma. So in the absolute reality, everything is one. But if we try to look at here right now, we are different, right? In the matrix of reality kasi, the energy or the light coming from Brahma emanated, and so the emanation of this light gave rise to all creations. Now, what is evil? Evil is disharmony, and what is good? Good is harmony. So in Advaita Vedanta, no, the concept of good or bad, kasi in Christianity kasi when you say good or bad, good kasi ito sinabi ng Diyos, bad kasi sinabi ng Diyos na bad yan. Diba? Ganyan sa atin. That's how we base our morality. But, you know, for this tradition in Hinduism, iba sa kanila. Morality is if you are doing harm to others, that is supposed to do. So, ganun lang sa kanila. As long as you are not harming others physically, psychologically, spiritually, mentally, then that's good. Bad. So, okay, enough of that. We do not look at things here like our actions. It is our perception of how we look at things that creates good or bad. Let's say, for example, for a coin, right? A coin. You cannot have a coin with only one side, yung face. Dapat meron siyang crown. Tama? So, we are not looking at things here like the devil is somewhat separate from us, no? Kasi after the Buddha was enlightened, he said that all the heavens and all the hells are actually within us. No? So all the heavens, all the hells, all the gods, all the demons are actually all within us. And, you know, we take part of it. Diba? We always say na, ano bang, totoo ba na may Diyos? Ba't ang dami-dami nagugutom ngayon? Wala man ginawa ang Diyos. But, come to think of it, you are created in the image and likeness of God, diba? We are God. So, nung may nakita kang nagutom, ano ginawa mo? Alright? So, that's the idea. Mystical gesture, parang kung Islam pala ang major religion, so pag Arabic, dun sila magre-react. Yes, tama yun, frater. So, for example, kung may na-possess na, let's say, for example, Christian, so, you know, Christian minister din yung tawagin mo, but the Christian minister should have a reputation of really, you know, being an upright person. Kasi, if hindi, then, we don't know. We can't really judge, but, you know, the person doing it should have prepared ahead of time before doing such things. Alright? Tapos yung practice, after exercising the person, Bishop Kaiser actually has shown several examples. After doing anything, when he touches the person, there was a case wherein he touched the person on the navel, not navel, back of the head, ito, nape pala, yung neck, hinawakan niya yung neck, tapos hinawakan niya yung ulo. Then he chanted several mantras, or ano yung prayer na chinant niya. After that, he washed his hands up to the elbow. Talagang hugas talaga ng kamay. So to disconnect the negative attachments from that person from, you know, creeping onto you. So talaga maghugas. Kaya yan yung practice ng mga Jews dati. They always wash their hands after doing something, let's say exorcism, or even just, you know, offering something in the temples. They always wash their hands. All right. So the mystical gesture, the all is the mind and we are part of all. Parang ganon in correspondence with Hermeticism. Yes, that's true because all is mind and mind is all. Because if we really come to think of it now, in this matrix of reality, if you look at your refrigerator, it looks like what? Gray or white or whatever. But is it really white or gray? Or is it what you perceive? Diba? So if you look at the sky is blue, right? We are all seeing a blue sky. In the relative reality, it is a blue sky. But if there are other high sensitivity that we put into the sky, the color of the sky is actually violet. It's not blue. Our eyes are just sensitive to the blue color. But if we try to really look at it in the absolute reality, the sky is colorless. Everything is colorless. It is just the absorption and the refraction of the light that gives us the idea that this is red, this is blue, this is black, this is everything. So everything is just mind. Everything is just interpreted in the mind. And it is also true with these demonic entities, with the devil, with God, everything. It is all being interpreted in the mind because all is mind and mind is all. Right? So in this reality, the mind can be very, very tricky because, diba, since time immemorial when priests or pastors are doing exorcism, nagre-respond yung demon eh. So, it seems to be, parang itong separate entity. Labas, literally galing sa labas ng katawan, pumasok, tapos i-exorcise ko. But no, that specific entity is within that person's matrix of reality. Sa matrix of reality niya, in his mind, that being exists. And that being might be able to get out from there, creeps into you, and then you will also be possessed. But it will not be that demon, but the demon within you, the subconscious, subliminal messaging that is already within you may take form because you will be contaminated by that specific demon from that person that you're trying to exorcise. So, ganun yun. Alright? So, we need to have a more mature understanding when it comes to, demonic possessions, right? The universe is mental, no? Hermetic principle yan. In this light, we need to, if we want to help others who are in this possession by obsession, then we need to do our daily meditations. We need to do early in the morning, no cell phones muna. When you wake up in the morning, meditate. Bago mag-cellphone. Noontime, heart meditation. Tapos evening, before going to sleep, contemplation. And then before going to sleep, visualize that a brilliant white light is slowly descending into your body. So instead of sleeping, you are not sleeping, but you are resting, just like what the saints or what the other enlightened masters did when they were still alive. So what I am trying to say is that exorcism, tanong mo kanina, Frater James, exorcism is not something that, okay, I'll give you an exorcism book, I'll give you some prayers, voila, exorcist ka na. Hindi yun ganon. You need to do the work every day because even if you don't have anything, you can drive away the demons out. Just like, for example, our Lord and Master Jesus, no? Mar Yeshua ben Yosef. What was his formula? What was his prayer? Did he even recited the prayers of Solomon? Kasi dati, during the time of Jesus, may mga exorcists na. And what they were using is actually the prayers that was used by the King Solomon. But Jesus didn't do that. Instead, he just goes to the person, asks the name of the demon. What is your name? And then commands the demon out from the person's body. And bakit niyo nagagawa? It's because he is a self-realized being. He has cultivated the connection of the divine within him every day. So he is like a living sun. Pag nakikita siya ng mga demonic entities, na dark entities, Jesus is like, glowing. So therefore, they tremble and they go away. They disintegrate immediately. Okay. Alright, so yun. Right, so ayos ba? Nakuha ba? Descartes, James, sino pa? Mapsa Marcelino, hello. Sino pa nandyan? April Lava, Guy on Fire and on Ice, san ka na? Kemo Zalion, LJ Garci, nasa na kayo lahat? Anyway, yun. Right, now, there is another now here is another it's not really a demonic possession, but parang nakalatch lang sa'yo yung entity. Now, here's what's happening kasi. Na-mention ko kanina yung about sa nefesh, right? When a person dies, the nefesh, or the soul personality of the person, only stays in this world for like 40 days and 40 nights maximum. But after that, the person vanishes and, goes to the higher dimensions, kung saan siya marireincarnate ulit. But what happens to a person who was, let's say, was not ready to die? When he died, that person still has this feeling or, let's say, emotion na gusto pa niyang mabuhay because maybe gusto niya mag-revenge, may hindi pa siya nagagawa, may gusto pa siyang sabihin, or, the person is still attached in this world. So, when that person dies, after 40 days, di ba maglalaho na yung nefesh, madi-dissolve na. So, if that person doesn't want that to happen, hahanap siya ngayon ng tao na may negative emotion, na same vibration niya, parang law of correspondence, So when that person has the same vibration as him or her, that soul, that nefesh, will feed on that person's energy. Kaya that person will be the fuel, nagiging fuel yon ng kaluluwa ng tao. So, what happens kung parating nakasunod sa kanya? That person will have thoughts and emotions that is corresponding or similar to the soul that attaches to him or her. So, ano nangyayari kapag gano'n? For example, the person, because the nefesh is actually the body that goes out when you do astral travel. Anyway, going back, sila yung nag-feed. So, when they are feeding on the body of when they are feeding on the energy of the people, what happens is that parating nadidrain yung energy ng taong yun. Tapos the thoughts and emotions of that specific person is corresponding to the thoughts and emotions of the quote-unquote ghost. Right? So, ganun din. Because cause din yan nung sinabi ko kanina, connected to kanina sa obsession. Kasi if the obsession, the negative thoughts and emotions that you are accumulating, putting it in your subconscious mind, if it does not manifest into a demon, then perhaps a soul that might have the same vibration as those negative energies that you have accumulated, dun sila maglalatch. Alright? And then they feed on your energy. And there are cases na ganito. The person died, so the nefesh, his nefesh, or her nefesh rather, nag-attach siya dun sa kaibigan niya. The person died because of suicide, depression. Ngayon, eto namang kaibigan niya na negative din, yung thoughts and emotions most of the time, nag-suicide din. Because naapektuhan kasi niya yung mental health and sense of well-being nung taong yon. So, kaya may isang account si Bishop Kaiser dun sa book niya whereby he was able to help a soul latching on him. Parang may nag-feed, parang may kumukuha ng energies niya, kaya pala always negative yung thoughts and emotions niya, and always then parang yung nasa isip niya is puro negativity then. The person didn't know personally the soul that is attaching on him, but the soul was actually a friend of his sister. Parang ganon. So, yun. Ganon din. Bishop Louis Kaiser was able to exorcise the ghost. No? He cut the thread of that ghost from that person, and then the person, the boy whom he helped, kinailangan niyang kinailangan niya talagang mag-change, no? Kailangan niya mag-change ng outlook in life, and he needs to develop certain habits so that the negative thought forms in his subconscious mind will not be encouraged and will be disintegrated and assimilate back to him, para hindi na yun maging cause ng attachment ng negative soul na ayaw tumawid sa kanya. So yun yung nangyari. Alright, so yun, katulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, when we try to exorcise someone, we're acting like the technicians, right? But however, we need to be prepared before we even do the exorcism. Aside from that, we need to be very careful in what we do, because baka mag-backfire sa atin. Ang pinaka best gawin after doing the exorcism, you need to give an advice, or let's say steps that can be done by the person you are helping, na if he or she is doing that, it will prevent the entity from coming back. Second is that the entity will be disintegrated and assimilate back to him or her, and so that he or she will become whole again. Okay. Wilson McGrath Jr., need your hat. Yeah, this hat, this is from Seeker Clothing. So they are printing metaphysical, esoteric, mystical, psychedelic designs, like a hat. I even have a t-shirt like this, but I'm not wearing it today. I'm wearing a different t-shirt, but yes. Okay. Alright. And ano pa bang dapat i-discuss? Willie bro, haha. Yate. Right, Will, it's my friend who prints this, so maybe you want to check their Facebook page later. So I'll send you the link kasi gusto ka mag-order ba? Chewy kayo. Anyway, ano pa ba ang dapat kong i-discuss? I think that's the essential parts. Wilson McGrath Jr., send lang link. Alright, very good. Have you already answered my questions on FB? Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Let us check. Ano ba yung questions sa FB? Kasi napakabagal ng internet ko ngayon. So even I'm using the PC, let me use my other phone. Ano ba yung question mo? Can you share it here again? I think I have already answered those. Descartes. Let me just check. So, ito yung version natin ng Gabi ng Lagim. Sino to? Ralph Mystic. Sino to? Who is posting? Hold on, Descartes. I am trying to look for your question on FB. Medyo lumakas na yung Wi-Fi, yung Wi-Fi. Alright. Eto. Good. Okay. Eto. Tara. So, question number 1. Does God allow evil possess the person regardless of voluntariness? This was your question, right? Does God allow evil possess the person regardless of voluntariness? Now, this question kasi, this is my understanding of this question is that we are under the premise that God is a separate entity and that God is someone, maybe an old dude in the sky or a young dude in the sky who manipulates our lives in day-to-day in our day, who manipulates our day-to-day transactions, right? But in our God is not an old man in the sky, right? Because Har Har Mahadev, Shiva is everywhere, God is everywhere, we are Brahma. So meaning, to allow or to not allow is somewhat irrelevant. So the person and the entity that tries to possess the person is still God, right? So it's like in the relative reality, we are playing these parts. Like there is God, I worship God. In the absolute reality, there's no such thing. There's only God, and we are all just, let's say, waves. I have explained this in my video. No, if God is the ocean, we are the waves. We are the ripples of waves. Hold on, kasi malapit na malubat yung phone. I'll look for the ng tawag nito, power bank. I really do apologize. I'll be back very quick. Okay. So na yun, I'll just put the charger. And then... Alright, so sana ba? Okay, great. It's charging. Is it charging? It is charging. Perfect. Okay, good. Alright, now, and the will, kasi pareto kasi the will of God is, let's say, the universal laws. So we have free will. However, so let's say, for example, if a person dies because the body can't respond to protect, I've explained this earlier, no? That the same soul, the demon that was created out of the obsession of that negative thought forms that is being created is still part of that person's soul. So when that entity takes over, it is still technically, no, technically speaking, it is still that person. However, parang it's a different program, a sub program of that person. So when that person dies and the person goes to hell, now this is another another debatable concept, because where that person's soul go, heaven or hell, if you are to ask me, if you are some to ask me, the soul will reincarnate, period. Right? The soul will reincarnate because in Kabbalah we have this concept what we call Gilgulum, or the transmigration of the soul. So it is the Kabbalistic version of reincarnation uh, in Buddhism or in Hinduism. So trying to connect. So when you die, where do you go? You go to hell. Everyone. But the hell that we are talking about, no, it's not a place of eternal suffering. The hell that the Bible is talking about is it is Sheol. If I remember the word, Sheol. So the souls of good and bad will go to Sheol or hell. After that, after some time, there's a specific pattern, I think. The souls will be reincarnated again in this world, and you will have a new body and a new personality, new nefesh, new soul personality. And so the cycle gets over and over again until that you are able to purify your soul, and then you will be ready to ascend to heaven, Pardes, no? Pardes, the place of sleep, but there is a higher plane in Pardes, which is the first heaven. And so, um, if a soul of an awakened person um, I mean, when the body of an awakened person um, dies in this world, the soul goes to a higher realm, higher than Pardes. So, yeah, that's it. So, yeah, did I answer your questions? Magulo ba? Okay. Kasi what I am seeing here is that your question is very much inclined, or let's say your question kasi has a you know Christian, mainstream Christian inclination to it. So I'm just letting you know that what we are discussing here is more of an ancient Jewish Kabbalistic approach, a non-dualistic Kabbalistic approach. All right? Okay. So, ano pa ba? Okay. So, all right. Descartes, Wilson, James Legaspi, sino pa? Mafsa, Myla Marcelino, sino pa nandyan? April Lava, baka nakatulog na yung iba. Guy on Fire and on Ice, LG Garcia, Kemo Zelion, nandyan pa ba kayo guys? Alright, so sino pa dito? Mm, Thank you Descartes, thank you so much for that answers. I appreciate them so much. Thank you din sa question, brother, because your question is actually very valid, especially here in the Philippines. No, majority of the people are Christians, and we have this dualistic idea of heaven and hell, good and evil, God and Satan. You know, and we think that all the miseries that are happening in our life is something caused by outside entities, di ba? Yung common phrase nga ng mga killers or mga magnanakaw, mga rapists, yung sinasabi nila, the devil made me do it. Where the devil and God is within you. So, our hearts kasi, the our hearts kasi, no? Our hearts kasi is dual in nature. So, when God created man, no, according to Sefer Yetzirah, Sefer Yetzirah is a very, very ancient book. It is written by the Kabbalists. No, it is a very Kabbalistic point of view. The Sefer Yetzirah actually has a different take on creation in Genesis, and also it discusses about the two Yetzers or the two inclination of the human heart. We have the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov. So in Christianity, it's been discussed as the spirit of holy. So I don't have any religious bias when it comes to preaching, when it comes to teaching specific things. If there are, let's say, ideas that I can Christianize so that other Christians may understand it, I do it. But if there are really ideas that cannot be Christianized because it is nearly impossible to do that, then I won't, because it will be counterproductive, counterintuitive. Um, in the first 500 years of Christianity, there was no concept of an eternal heaven. One is God, and therefore, in trying to understand these things, so we need to have a broader concept, not just focus on reality is actually created by our very own minds, and also not because it is created by our mind, it's not real, because again the universe is mental. Everything in the universe is just generated by our minds. The the experience that we are having right now, when we sit in this chair, when we face our computers, when we face our cell phones, when we talk to our loved ones, when we drink a cup of coffee, our experience is all generated, is all being interpreted in the mind. All right. So I hope that makes sense, right? So is there any other, let's say, is there any other questions or perhaps clarifications? Kasi kung wala na, we'll just wrap things up, right? So it's 12:25. So we'll end this by 12:30. All right. So, yeah. So as a summary lang siguro, no. First, we've discussed about. So first of all, no, we discussed that this point of view of our discussion today is more of a non-dualistic, Kabbalistic spirituality, non-dualistic, Kabbalistic approach, just like the non-dualistic teachings of Mar Yeshua or Jesus, found in the Gospel of Thomas and also found in other Gospels. No, we realize that the Gospel of Thomas is written earlier than all the other Gospels, and the sayings of Jesus written in the Gospel of Thomas is very non-dualistic, at the same time Kabbalistic. So non-duality, when we speak of non-duality, it is very similar to the Hindu concept of Advaita Vedanta, or not really a Hindu concept, but let's say an Indian concept of Advaita Vedanta, written by the Upanishads like few hundred years or perhaps 1,000 years before the Hindu religions were created. So it speaks of non-duality. So therefore, when we say non-duality, non-dual means everyone is just one. Everything is just one. So everything is God and God is everything. Everything is Brahma. Everything is Shiva. Or everything is Christ, if you want to put it that way. Now, in this slide, we are now discussing about the matrix of reality. We have the absolute reality, the ultimate oneness, and we also have the relative reality, where in this reality, the matrix of creation was generated, emanated from the source of light or creation, and then we get to experience each other. So the oneness of God is being experienced in this reality. That's why there is you, there is me, there is your chair, there is your cell phone, your mom is there, your dad is there, your wife, your girlfriend is there, and so on. Because in this reality, we are here to experience, and this is the relative reality. We may look different from each other, but we are one and the same. So in this matrix of reality, there is what? This is a field of conscious energy. So because this is a field of conscious energy, what happens is that we are able to create imprints, energy imprints. Yun nga, na-discuss ko kanina, no? There was an apparition of ghosts when there is this specific seer, mystic seer, a psychic, na pumasok siya sa room, tapos may nakita siyang lalaki na balisa, tumalon sa window specific place. It will create a specific imprint on a specific location. Hindi lang siguro when it comes to crimes, perhaps may nag-suicide, perhaps may pinatay, even in churches, right? Even in churches, even in public places, or even in houses, right? Because there are some accounts na may mga bahay na luma, like 100-year-old house, bumubukas sara yung bintana, may isa, and they think, oh, may ghost doon. But actually, it's not a ghost, but it's actually the energy imprint that is being left on that specific area or that specific location, right? So next is we have this the phenomena of possession. But I explained that the first phenomena of possession is the sub-personality of a specific person from his or her past life that was not properly assimilated with his current nefesh or his current soul personality. And so that soul, that sub-personality from the person's past life tries to kicks in, and then it would seem that the person has two souls inside the body, but perhaps the person only has one soul. It's just that his other personality, when it takes over, it seems that meron siyang kausap sa loob niya. It seems that merong different person sa loob niya. And these people are often diagnosed as people with multi-personality disorder. So these people don't need liturgical help, but these people need scientific help. Psychologists and maybe psychiatrists would help them. However, these people na sana tutulong sa kanila, the psychologists and the psychiatrists that needs to help them should have at least basic fundamentals of esoteric and mystical teachings para mas maintindihan nila kung ano yung nangyayari sa taong yon. And they can do their treatment, hypnosis, meditation and stuff para mag-disintegrate ang consciousness ng other personality nila, and it will assimilate back to their own self. Now, lastly is this soul personality that is, or no, not a soul personality, but there is also this possession that is created because of obsession. And obsession happens when we carelessly accumulate negative thoughts and emotions and subliminal programmings from music, TV, news, or even from the negative events that happened in our life. It will all accumulate inside us, and until such time that these negative thought forms will create its very own identity and personality that is still connected to you, and therefore it becomes a different entity within you. But this entity, it has a personality, it has a name, it will call himself or herself a name, but this will not totally subdue you at first, because of course you have your own resistance. But later on, if you suddenly snap out, there is a possibility that this alter ego of yours will um, subdue you, and with that you will not be able to live your life anymore, because your body is now being controlled by this virus, quote unquote, that was created inside of your hardware, right? Inside of your mind. So the virus was created, and it becomes a new software. So eto yung nangyayari. So you need to be exercised. This should be removed from you. When I say remove, we really can't remove it out from you because it is within you. So we need to destroy its consciousness so that its parts, its energy, consciousness will just go back to you, assimilate back to you. And also, there's another case wherein you have not developed an entity, a demonic entity out of you, but there is another soul, a soul that does not want to cross over, that latches over you and feeds on your negative energies. And so, with that being said, first we really need to be very mindful about what we feed our minds. And we need to examine our lives. We need to examine what we are putting inside our heads. Ako nga sa bahay, wala kaming TV. I don't like TV. We have internet so that we can choose the news and the shows that we can watch. Alright, so walang basura. Alright, so yun, we need to really take care. That is our responsibility, as humans. That is our responsibilities to take care of our minds, and we need to take care of our mental health. And if we would like to help others, if we would like to exercise others, now we need to be very careful about this, because not everyone can do this. And if we want to do this, we need to do the work ahead of time. So what do I mean by that? It is not much of the form, the Latin prayers or the incantations, but it's much more about the personality and the character of the exorcist. So if you want to get rid of the souls or the spirits of, if you want to get rid of the spirit that is latching on someone, or if you want to get rid of the demonic entity that is controlling someone, then you yourself should be someone who has attuned to the higher light within you. Just like Jesus, di ba? Walang form, walang special incantation, walang Latin, walang ritual. Simple lang, umalis ka sa katawan ng taong to, umalis yung kaluluwa, umalis yung demonic entity. It's because he himself has, or were able to access that higher light within him, that is also the higher light, or the light of creation that is within you. And so when Jesus looks illuminated by this light that he emanated from within him, because the same light of creation is the light that is within him, and so it dissipates, it disintegrates. All right, so it's really, really important for both the exorcist and for us, for us people who are just living our lives normally in a day-to-day life. Even if we don't do exorcism, we need to do self-exorcism, meaning we don't want to put garbage inside our heads. All right, so just control your inputs of negativity as much as possible. No, if you really, really want to watch horror movies, watch it midday. Wag mong panoorin if you're sleepy, or if you know that you have very weak conscious filters, then might not watch it at all. All right. And this is what I've been telling people every day, even in this channel, and even with my friends, and it's also my personal practice. Before you go to sleep, you contemplate and meditate. After you wake up, the first thing you need to do is you need to meditate before checking your phone. And in the middle of the day, you also need to do another meditation. And in between morning, afternoon, evening, you need to have your, let's say, mindfulness meditation, breathing in, breathing out. Perhaps you want to chant mantras using your prayer beads, or any sort of meditation that would allow your mind to be clear, that would protect your mind from receiving negative information. And we do that to protect ourselves from these demonic entities, from creating or triggering demonic entities, from uh, subduing, or we need to do this to prevent these demonic entities in being created inside our bodies, and prevent them from taking over our own bodies. All right, so I hope that makes sense. And this is another perspective, right? Kasi yung nakikita natin minsan sa news, sa ibang mga network, yung mga channels, no? They try to sensationalize the ideas of demons taking over our bodies, that it seems like these demons are apart from us. But no, in this perspective that I have shown you, perhaps this is less exciting. It is less sensationalized, but this is more scientific, I should say, more straightforward. At the same time, this is the idea that for me, no, for me, it resonates for different spiritual religious, and good and bad, heaven and hell, and all this stuff. But of course, those stuff are very good for Hollywood, very good for movies, very good for news, right? But in real life, we need to understand that everything is mind, everything is mental, and we need to protect our minds, right? So, yeah, I guess that's it. Right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Descartes, April Lava, Wilson, thank you, bro. James Legaspi, um, Mapsa Marcelino, sino pa ba? Anthony Tan, nawala ka na. LJ Garci, Kemo Zalion. Guys, thank you for your time today. And yeah, hopefully next time kita-kita ulit tayo for another topic next week, right? See you guys on Monday. And if this is your first time watching my video, please click the like button below, and also click subscribe, and also ring the notification bell, so that next time if I will upload a video, you will be one of the first few who will see this. Okay, thank you guys. Namaste.